Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'll start with the acknowledgement of traditional lands. We acknowledge that we are on land and surrounded by water originally inhabited by Indigenous peoples who have traveled this area since time immemorial. This territory is within the lands honored by the Wampum Treaties, agreements between the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Lenni, Lenape, and allied nations to peacefully share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Specifically, we would like to acknowledge the presence of the Huron-Wendat peoples and the Three Fires Confederacy, Ojibwe, Odawa, Potawatomi. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture while remaining committed to moving forward respectfully with all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. Attendance. Trustee Abong had to send regrets, and Trustee Nelson and I are here, and Superintendent Howard. So we will move with the approval of the agenda. Trustee Nelson, and I'll second that, so that moves. Declaration of conflict of interest? None. Approval of the minutes? Trustee Nelson and myself, so they're moved. Delegations. We have one delegation this afternoon. Beth St. Dennis. Yeah. Let me just put the mic on here. You have 5 minutes. You can start now, thanks.
No. Oh, there we go. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Beth St. Dennis. I am a Christian woman, a parent, a godparent, and a lifelong resident of Windsor. My topic this evening is, what does true inclusion look like? True inclusion begins with a deep and unwavering commitment to the safety, well-being, and success of all students. Every child, regardless of background, belief, or ability, deserves to feel respected, valued, and secure in their learning environment. Schools should be places where students can focus on learning, growing, and discovering who they are, free from fear of pressure or exclusion. Creating safe and welcoming schools requires thoughtful leadership, clear policies, and a genuine respect for diversity of the communities the trustees serve. Inclusion is not about prioritizing one ideology over another. It is about ensuring that every student knows they matter and that their presence is valued. When students feel safe and supported, they are more likely to succeed academically, socially, and emotionally. I speak tonight as someone who holds strong personal beliefs. I am an unapologetic Christian woman, and my faith informs how I understand the world. At the same time, I believe deeply that every student, regardless of their beliefs or background, deserves dignity, respect, and protection from harm. Compassion and respect for others are not negotiable values. They are essential to a healthy school system. However, true inclusion must work both ways. Respecting diversity means acknowledging that families and students come from many different backgrounds and belief systems. A truly inclusive school environment allows students to learn alongside one another, even when their worldviews differs, without fear of judgment, marginalization, or coercion. This is where the Essex County District School Board must reflect honestly on its current direction. In recent years, inclusion has increasingly been defined in narrow ideological terms. When one set of beliefs is elevated as the default or unquestionable framework, other students and families are feeling left silenced, dismissed, or excluded. This is not inclusion. This is conformity. Public education must never be a vehicle for promoting or enforcing ideological beliefs. Schools are not the place to shape students into a preferred social or political framework. They are places to teach critical thinking, academic skills, and respectful dialogue. When ideology is pushed rather than explored, trust between families and the school system is broken, and students are placed in the middle of conflicts they should never have to navigate. True inclusion means creating space for differences, not managing it out of existence. Students should feel safe to be themselves, but they must also feel safe expressing their beliefs, asking questions, or choosing not to participate in activities that conflict with their family's values or deeply held convictions. Families have a right to raise their children according to their moral and cultural beliefs, and public education must respect that boundary. No student should ever feel pressured to affirm ideas they do not understand, do not agree with, or are not ready to engage with. Schools exist to educate, not to compel ideological alignment. True inclusion means resisting the urge to label, categorize, or divide students based on belief. It means seeing students first and foremost as individuals, each deserving of dignity, privacy, and respect. When policies or practices unintentionally marginalize students because they do not fit within a preferred narrative, the system has failed in its duty of care. Inclusion must also extend beyond ideology and into tangible support, especially for students with special needs. These students often face the greatest barriers and yet receive the least attention in broader equity discussions. True inclusion demands we prioritize resources where they are most urgently needed. When we talk about equity, we must ensure that students with special needs are not sidelined while attention is directed elsewhere. Equity means meeting students where they are and giving them what they need to thrive, not offering symbolic gestures or a one-size-fits-all approach. True inclusion is balanced. It is humble. It recognizes that public education must serve all families, not just those who align with the loudest or most politically fashionable perspectives. I urge this board to course correct, to recenter inclusion around parental partnership, student well-being, and academic excellence. When we do that, we create schools that are not just inclusive in name, but genuinely welcoming to every student entrusted in their care. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Are there any questions, clarification? Seeing none, thank you very much for your presentation. Next, we have staff reports. The first one is H1, the JIAD report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You'll find the report from pages 4 to 12, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, Trustee Nelson? 4 to 12.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I was just looking at the presentation options included starting on page 10. I'm wondering, how are all schools taking advantage of the presentations, and or if they are, I think they're fantastic.
Yeah, those presentations were offered through Indigenous education and were put out to schools, and we had over a week of opportunity for students or for schools to sign up. So it was on a first come, first served basis. And then schools made the choices of what specific presentation they wanted to deliver to their student body, and as per the age group as well.
I believe next was H2, dismantling anti-Black racism report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You will find the report listed from page 13 to 23. This is the work of the senior team. I'm glad to respond to the best of my ability on any questions you may have.
Trustee Nelson?
Thank you, through you, Chair. Just looking at the climate survey, I understand that that closed in April. What would we find the results, and how are those results going to be used to improve systems, if at all?
So through you, Madam Chair, that was done with the Windsor-Essex County Health Unit. We did it in a partnership. So they have all of the data right now. They're just going through all of that. And then they'll meet with Superintendent Bell and myself, and then we'll be rolling out what the findings of that are. So before the end of the school year for sure, we'll know. And then obviously an action plan from that.
Thank you. And H3, the International Languages Report.
Thank you. You'll find that report located on page 24 or 25, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions, Trustee Nelson? No? Okay. Then moving on to H4, the Indigenous Action Plan Report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This report is provided on pages 26 to 29 and align with how we report to the ministry on our Indigenous education plan. Happy to answer any questions.
No questions. I didn't have any either. I thought the reports were pretty fulsome, had a lot of information in them, and pretty much answered any question I would have had. So very good work on the reports. Thank you very much. New business, nothing on our agenda. Trustee motions for consideration, none. Trustee notices of motion, none. And we are adjourned. Thank you very much. And if you'd like, you can stay tuned for the 5 o'clock bylaw meeting. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. It's 5 o'clock now and time to start our policy meeting. Thanks that Julia Burgess has made it, Trustee Burgess has made it on time. I super appreciate it. Would you mind, I know it's rushing you here.
No,
Here,
not at all.
reading the acknowledgement.
Thank you. My honor. We acknowledge that we are on land and surrounded by water originally inhabited by Indigenous peoples who have traveled this area since time immemorial. This territory is within the lands honored by the Wampum Treaties, agreements between the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Lenni Lenape, and the allied nations to peacefully share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Specifically, we would like to acknowledge the presence of the Huron-Wendat peoples and the Three Fires Confederacy, Ojibwe, Odawa, Potawatomi. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture while remaining committed to moving forward respectfully with all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Burgess. So for attendance, we have Trustee Burgess and myself, as well as our director. So we have met quorum. May I have approval of the agenda, Trustee Burgess? Thank you. I support it. It passes. Declaration of any conflicts of interest? Yes, with the addendum. Pardon me. Approval of the minutes? Trustee Burgess, thank you. We have a delegation this evening. Would you mind coming forward at this time? And we'll listen to you.
What? Is on? Can you hear it? Yeah. Okay. All right. Right. Good evening, trustees and members of the Policy and Bylaw Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. Tonight, I would like to address the policy and regulation titled Human Rights PAD 48 and RAD 48. Both the policy and the regulation begin with the paragraph, the Greater Essex County District School Board is committed to providing a learning and working environment that actively promotes and supports the dignity, worth, and human rights of all. The board strives to create a culture of understanding and mutual respect in accordance with the Ontario Human Rights Code, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and the Ontario Occupational Health and Safety. The Ontario Human Rights Code guarantees every person the right to equal treatment in key areas of daily life, including services, goods, facilities, housing accommodations, contracts, and employment. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms affirms that every individual is entitled to fundamental freedoms, freedom of conscience, religion, thought, belief, and expression. It also protects the rights to life, liberty, and security of the person. In addition, the Charter's equality rights ensure that all individuals are equal before the law with equal protection and equal benefit of the law, free from discrimination. Human Rights Policy PAD 48 condemns discrimination and harassment, including sexual harassment, for all members of the GEC-DSB community, including students, staff, trustees, parents/guardians, volunteers, and all others on board property. Regulation RAD 48, paragraph 1.11 reads, there is an obligation to ensure that environments are free from discrimination and harassment. It is not acceptable from a human rights perspective to choose to remain unaware of the potential existence of discrimination or harassment, or to fail to act to address human rights matters whether or not a complaint has been made. It makes sense to ensure all GEC-DSB policies prioritize the safety of all persons on school property in accordance with the law. It is the preemptive duty of care I wish to address. This Committee of Trustees and the Board are tasked with governance of the Greater Essex County District School Board. By definition, governance establishes the vision, policies, and priorities. Operations carry those decisions forward in daily practice. When a regulation becomes an operational procedure, the balance of authority shifts. On April 7th, this committee approved a memorandum proposing to rescind Regulation RAD 65, titled Gender Identity and Expression, Student Records, and to reallocate it as an operational procedure. Several GEC-DSB policies have already undergone similar reallocation. For example, the Charitable Donations Policy, PBA03, and Regulation RBA03 were merged into an operational procedure in February of this year, but it has undergone a dramatic overhaul. The original policy was a meager 35 words, and the regulation was 2 pages in length. The new operational procedure covers 8 pages. Now that RAD 65 is under administrative control, the question becomes, how will it become rewritten? In February 2025, GEC-DSB administration proposed an amendment to the same document through an online consultation. The proposal would have allowed males into female spaces such as washrooms, change rooms, sports, and overnight facilities. The board ultimately declined to approve that proposal. That decision does not relieve the board of its governance responsibilities. For that reason, I asked the GEC-DSB Human Rights Policy explicitly incorporate the wording of Section 20, Paragraph 1 of the Human Rights Code, titled Restriction of Facilities by Sex, into GEC-DSB Human Rights Policy PAD 48. It reads, the right under Section 1 to equal treatment with respect to services and facilities without discrimination because of sex is not infringed where the use of the services or facilities is restricted to persons of the same sex on the ground of public decency. It is a matter of privacy, dignity, and safety to ensure females have sex-segregated spaces and sports. This is the security of person this Canadian Charter of Rights speaks of. As an act of governance in integrating Section 20, Paragraph 1 into the GEC-DSB Human Rights Policy provides equal protection and benefit of the law needed by female students, staff, and volunteers. It is unthinkable to selectively enforce Section 1 of the Ontario Human Rights Code and ignore Section 20, Paragraph 1. It is also important to note that Section 20, Paragraph 1 uses the term same sex, not same gender. Its purpose is rooted in biological sex and in the concept of public decency. The Criminal Code of Canada reinforces this principle by prohibiting acts that violate public decency, including indecent exposure and nudity, doubling down on endangering the morals of a child in Section 172. The Ministry of Education is implementing many changes this year, but this board remains responsible for the safety and well-being of more than 30,000 students. Governance requires clarity, consistency, and the courage to uphold the law as written. Your legacy will be measured by the safeguards you choose to uphold today. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions of clarification? Trustee Burgess.
I have a question of clarification, but for administration, if I could. Just of the presenter? Okay. Okay. I can ask separately afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We don't have any staff reports tonight. New business. I-1, to rescind the policy and regulation for exemption of human development and sexual health. Supported. Trustee Burgess?
Madam, that it be rescinded and be reclassified as a ministry directive, posted on the board website. Yes.
Supported. That's approved. H12, rescind policy and regulation passwords and other credentials. Can I have approval? Support? Supported. Trustee Burgess?
I would move that, and you're supporting whatever to be rescinded and reclassified as an operational procedure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's approved. H13, rescind regulation cybersecurity recommendation. Bylaw recommend the board regulation cybersecurity be rescinded and that it be reclassified. Do we have a mover? Trustee Burgess?
I'm not going to be moving, but if I could speak, I would move to refer, and I would explain why.
Go ahead.
It may come back.
There's just us.
So a motion to refer it to, I think, audit committee is where I'd like it to have an opinion shared. And you're supporting, so can I speak to it briefly?
What I would think is I would leave that to all the trustees, and I would just not approve it.
Motion at the board then to recommend that it be referred to the audit committee.
Right to the board.
Right to the board. Okay. Yep. Can I speak to it?
Go ahead and speak to it, Trustee Burgess.
Yeah, just to give a heads up so that when it comes to the board, the reason why I want to consider it, and the board may just consider to send it right back to us or send it on, but for the workshops and all the things that I've attended, particularly around cybersecurity, and because of the nature of when breaches have been seen across the province, directors of organizations, chairs, and members have been directly implicated and have been on the ground, like within minutes of any kind of breach of cybersecurity in a ransomware incident, etc. And we've had lots of information, and nothing I have heard has said that it should be only operational, because the implications are actually to members of the governance, and they would have to be acting in a governance capacity right off the bat. So that this may be something that I don't fully understand, but I would like to see it so that whatever is in the operational procedure reflects that. Because I know things are changing. I know that in Queen's Park, we're going to be changing in all kinds of different ways as far as what we have advice over or what we have governance over. But cybersecurity, because of the cases that have been in existential time, I think that there has to be a governance component to it. Thanks. So I'll just
Thank you, Trustee
see if
Burgess.
they want
That'll be interesting to the board and see where they take it. HI4, the recommendation that the Policy and Bylaw Committee recommend to the board that Policy and Regulation Network Security and Access rescinded and reclassified. Do we move? Trustee Burgess
I
is
would
moving
move that
it.
it be rescinded and be reclassified.
Okay, I support it. It goes forward. No trustee motions for tonight. No trustee notices of motion for tonight. With that being said, we're at L, adjournment. Thank you.